I accept full responsibility for all decisions taken under my watch.
Following Ibrahim Babangida's revelation in his memoir that MKO Abiola actually won the 1993 presidential election, Peter Obi has capitalized on that, calling for a revelation of the real winner of 2023 presidential election. Since past leaders are now revealing winners of past elections, they should reveal the real winner of the 2023 presidential election. We all know that Peter Obi won the election. He has said it himself that he scored 10 million votes.
So now is the time for a strong socio-political structure across the country, across the 30 states, one that includes not just hardcore obedience, but also over 6 to 10 million. Because I know while they said we got 6 million votes, I know we got up to 10 million.
Now, let's see how Peter Obi said it while writing on his verified X handle. He said, "Today, I had the gracious honor of attending the launch of President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida's long-awaited autobiography, A Journey in Service at the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. IBB's contribution to Nigeria's economy and his strong support for entrepreneurship and private sector growth remain immeasurable. Under his leadership, Nigeria witnessed substantial growth, particularly in the financial sector. He played a key role in fostering a united and equitable Nigeria and economic landscape, ensuring policies that strengthened national cohesion and economic development. Documenting such experiences is a welcome development, as it allows us to learn from those who have served and left a lasting impact on the nation. I look forward to reading this book, which undoubtedly holds valuable lessons. As someone committed to continuous learning, I will always align myself with knowledge drawn from documented experiences and historical records, as well as contributing to the legacy library." Two key takeaways from the keynote address and IBB's comment on the 1993 election. One, the first is the keynote speaker's notable quotation in French, "Rien n'a changé," meaning nothing much has changed. In the case of Nigeria, we are worse off than we were during IBB's era. Using our contemporary peers as a benchmark, when IBB left office in 1992, countries like Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, and Ghana were all in the low Human Development Index (HDI) category, just like Nigeria. Today, however, these nations have advanced to medium and high HDI levels, while Nigeria remains in the low HDI category, having either stagnated or declined. 2. The keynote speaker's comment that Ghana has remained a truly democratic country for the past 30 years, with leadership transitions that reflect the genuine votes of the people, unlike Nigeria, where electoral outcomes often fail to reflect the people's will. Ghana has witnessed instances where ruling party candidates conceded defeat, respecting democracy in its truest form. Lastly, of the most profound moments of the event was IBB's admission that Chief MKO Abiola won the June 12 election. This acknowledgement is a step toward national healing, unity and progress of our nation. I hope that one day, other key players in Nigeria's democracy will find the courage to recognize the true winners of past elections, allowing our nation to tell its story with honesty and reflection. While many might find the earlier part of Peter Obi's comment as too patronizing to IBB, considering what he did during his regime, the many human rights violations, killings, and corruption, but he's not actually far from the truth. We'll come back to that in a moment. There's one thing you will notice in the countries he mentioned: the way they were able to achieve substantial growth in their GDP. They all share one thing in common: free and fair elections. At least democracy works to a certain level in these countries. So going by this alone, you will see that the only way, the guaranteed way to unlock the potential in Nigeria is to guarantee free and fair elections. Yes, that's the only way to bring out our best. It's not by accident that our best are not involved in massive corruption, impunity, thuggery, Nigeria today, they see thuggery and political maneuverings, outright breaking of the law, outright violation of the law by judicial officers. They see this as political sagacity. It should not be so. So the only way to achieve our full potential in Nigeria is to guarantee that the will of the people during elections always reflects in the results. Yes, Nigerians are smart people. Even if 100 people are running for the presidential election, they can see the right candidate out of the 100 people. So when they vote for that person, when that person scores the most votes, no one should have the right, not even INEC, not even judicial officers, courts, justices, political parties, politicians, police, army, they shouldn't have the right to execute a political coup or electoral heist or judicial coup on the Nigerian people. Nigerians can see this. A huge example is what happened during the presidential election of 2023. Anyone that steals his way to power is not coming there to help anyone. He's only going there to help himself. It doesn't make any sense. How can anyone convince Nigerians that he's stealing the election, he's rigging the election, he's using the courts, using all state apparatus to make sure he wins an election, and he's doing all that in order to save Nigerians? It's not possible. And it's not by accident that people who are capable of rigging elections and stealing their way to power, they are always people who have wealth without enterprise. You can't actually point to how they made their money, how they got all this stupendous wealth. You can't point to anything they did or any business that they built. You can't. So you can see from the lifestyle. While the other side, the people that are nice, the people that have the intelligence to do all the right things to turn Nigerian people's fortunes around, the little money that they have, because they made the money genuinely, they can't be throwing it around because they want to save Nigerians. It doesn't make sense to them. How can a sane person throw money around to steal elections to come and save anyone? No, it doesn't need to do that. Actually, it's supposed to be the reverse. It's supposed to be the people who genuinely believe in the person's capability. They will do anything to make sure that person gets to power because they actually believe he will save them, that his policies will make them wealthy at the end of the day. So that is how it's supposed to work. And every Nigerian must understand that defending democracy is like eternal vigilance. Yes, Nigerians fought against the military to send them back to the barracks. Eventually, the people that fought that military are now in power, doing worse than the military. This brings us to what P2B said about IBB's regime. Ibrahim Babangida, despite being a military dictator when he was in power in the 80s and early 90s, he actually implemented some liberal policies. Apart from Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, which effectively devalued the Naira at the time by more than 300%, just like what Tinubu did in 2023, he actually implemented many things that turned around the economy. Of course, that gain from what he implemented was somehow lost on the devaluation of the Naira and other attendant issues Nigerians experienced in the economy at the time, which are not comparable in any way by any measure to what Nigerians are going through right now. Yes, before IBB liberalized the Nigerian economy, Nigeria operated an import license regime. No one could just wake up and import anything. You must have an import license, and that license can't be granted to anyone just like that. It was chain stores, the likes of Leventis, Chanrai, that had import licenses. So anyone wishing to import anything must import through them. Yes, you only need to raise a letter of credit from a bank, and once everything is confirmed, when the goods arrive, the bank will send their insurance company, their representatives, to go and inspect the goods to make sure that everything that is listed in the packing list and the bill of lading, if they are correct, they will now release the money to the merchant. Nigerian merchants at the time imported this way until IBB liberalized the economy, removed import license. Anyone could just wake up, import anything. And despite the liberalization, merchants still continue to enjoy the credit system. They could import anything with just a letter of credit because of the confidence the international community had in Nigeria's economy at the time. Yes, but today it is practically impossible to import anything to Nigeria with a letter of credit. No international merchant will accept that because of the belief that there is too much fraud in Nigeria that the bank will not honor a letter of credit. Now, back to the effects of SAP that IBB implemented. It led to massive exodus of Nigerians abroad for greener pastures because they felt that Naira no longer had any value. If only they knew what Naira would become 30 years into the future, they wouldn't have left Nigeria. Of course, many left and came back a few years after. This massive exodus forced many countries to start implementing visas for Nigerians. Yes, it actually started that time. Prior to that, Nigerians could visit many countries based on visa on arrival. You don't need to tell anyone that you're traveling. Just book your ticket. When you land at the airport, they will issue you visa on arrival. Also, following the negative effects of SAP on Nigeria's economy, many merchants started importing used items for the first time in Nigeria's history. Prior to that, nearly every consumable item people imported were new ones. That's how high Nigeria's GDP was at the time. We were using the same standard as Europe. You walk into a boutique along the street and the owner is just returning from Italy, London or Paris. He will be displaying his wares, all the latest jeans, t-shirts, baggies, yarlings, name them, shoes, the latest opanka. They will display everything they bought from Europe. So Nigerians live the good life despite the devaluation. Now, let's see the worst of what IBB did when he was in power. The killing of Dele Giwa. Of course, he denied it in his book that he didn't know anything about it. He chose a very good time to write this memoir because all the major actors are no longer alive to defend themselves. Yes. Also, the way his regime shot at protesters in Lagos, at Obo Bridge, Kata Bridge, when Nigerians were protesting against the annulment of June 12 presidential election. So he committed all these atrocities. Now he's trying to whitewash it with this book. Let's also not forget how $12.5 billion, a huge amount at the time, suddenly disappeared in Nigeria's foreign accounts. The surplus was made because of the invasion of Iraq by the US at the time, the first Gulf War, which caused a surge in oil prices. So Nigeria earned a lot of budget surplus to the tune of $12.5 billion. But instead of saving that money for Nigerians, or at least investing them in infrastructure or even a sovereign wealth fund, the money disappeared. So it's a pity that wealthy Nigerians like Dangote, Athes and others donated more than 15 billion naira to IBB, a man that more than $12 billion disappeared under his regime. They should have invested this money in education. There is massive hunger across Nigeria. Imagine if this money is invested in a farm or many farms, it will turn around the fortunes of Nigerians instead of giving it to a man who doesn't need the money. IBB might even be more wealthy than the so-called Nigerian billionaires who can see their enterprise and how they made their money, but they are giving it to a man helping to whitewash its image more than 35 years when he damaged this country beyond repair. Thanks for watching.